Hey out there, folks. Everybody can hear me, hopefully. Oh, wait, one sec. I gotta get the background music. Hey, what's up, Kev? One sec. I'll be right back. I obviously didn't spend much time prepping for this. It's just gonna be a pretty straightforward live stream. Got some Beat Saber music in the background. How's it going out there, folks? I just got an Oculus Quest, and it's a fun little gadget, so I wanted to talk about it a little bit. So this, as you may know, is the little deal. It's got these little fancy controllers, and it's a cool little standalone headset. So what's up, PSVR 77? And thanks for showing up, guys. So I'm a little bit late doing this. I meant to do it like half an hour ago, and then I got a little more drunk than I was before. But we'll still cover the good, the bad, the questions. Hey, how's it going, AJ, as well? So the first thing I want to say about this thing, honestly, before anybody asks me any questions, is that these controllers are incredible. Like, so if you got a PSVR, you don't really need this console. There's not really like a dire need for you to get it. But I will say that these controllers are insanely good. If you rest your finger on the analog stick, it can tell, and you can make a fist by just resting your fingers on it. It's like bonkers how sensitive these things are, and they have analog sticks. They have analog sticks, guys. So I think you deserve a Quest too, Nick. And Bo, that's really exciting. So Earth Warrior, the crazy thing about the Quest is that you can set up a giant area. Like I snuck into my old apartment because nobody lives there yet, and I can still get in because I had a huge backyard before, and now I've got a tiny one. So I set up like a 30-foot play area, and you can just run around over a 30-foot area. It's really cool. And even just like in your living room, you got a little more space to move around if you set up the Guardian a certain way. But the main thing that blew me away, honestly, is just the controllers are so cool. Obviously, the processor is just pretty much a cell phone, like a souped-up cell phone optimized for VR. And it is still way better than any other mobile headset that's out there. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I haven't played everything. I haven't played the full Beat Saber. I played the demo. I haven't played Super Hot, which is very sad to me. But I don't have that much. Like, I bought this myself. It's not a review copy or anything. I'm just, my own money. So I can't buy every single game that's out there. But I have played a few of them. So I'll talk about those in a minute. But let me see if we got any more questions. Hello, the person. So 777, I don't think you need the 128 gig. I think you'll be fine with the 64 gig, honestly. Right now, there's not enough games out there. So if I go through the next week and I just buy a few more games, I'll have almost everything that I'm interested in. There's a few other ones like a National Geographic experience and stuff like this. But those are like sort of experiences. It's supposed to be really good, but, Bo Foley asks, have I played Dead and Buried 2? And that's the first multiplayer game I played online. I really liked that one. I heard like mixed opinions. People were saying it wasn't that great. But I had a good time with Just Incredible, who's another YouTuber who I like. We played that last night, and it was a ton of fun. Like, it's like Quake, like Unreal Tournament, just like hectic deathmatch. You die, you come back, you die, you come back. It's really fun. So I would definitely recommend Dead and Buried 2, and they're going to add more modes to it soon. But there's already like a few maps to play on, and everybody in the lobby was very fun and easy to talk to. We were just like fucking around with our hands. So 777 is saying the 64 gig is out of stock, and I thought that was going to happen. Part of the reason I actually bought this is because Amazon was saying 1 to 2 months is how long it would take to get one, so they're super out of stock, in the US at least. But I think that's probably a global thing as well, because I've seen other people in other countries say like, kind of hard to get one of those. So Best Buy near me had 2 left, and I was just like, fuck, there's only 2? Like, I guess I have to pull the trigger. I'm really bad about new gizmos and gadgets that are, especially VR stuff, and especially if I've got money burning a hole in my pocket, so I wasn't sure I was going to buy one, and then I saw there were only 2 left, and they were hard to get, and I was like, fuck it, let's go in on this thing. Robert McAllister, I did play Darth Vader, and that's what I want to talk about, because that game is so cool. There are very few games, like I said earlier, if you have a PSVR, there's not a huge need for you to get a Quest, because most games that are on PSVR are better on PSVR, even though there's the freedom of the no wires and you can like make a big play space and stuff. I tried the demo of Beat Saber and there was like, it felt like there was something missing. It just didn't feel as like full. And I will say the onboard speakers are pretty bad for Beat Saber, and like a lot of games, they kind of crackle and they don't sound too good. So you're definitely going to need to wear headphones, but that's beside the point. But yes, Darth Vader is a ton of fun. That's one of the few exclusives that you really, if you get a Quest, that'll be something to differentiate it from a PSVR. And it's got such high production values, you really feel like you're there next to Darth Vader. And the lightsaber battles are so cool and so engaging. I just loved that. It's only about 40 minutes, but it's definitely worth $10. Like, it's a good one for $10. Nick Mule is asking a very good question right now. Any issues with the battery cover coming off the controllers? Yes. When I was playing a few games today, like when I played the Beat Saber demo and when I played Sports Scramble, which requires you to like swing a tennis racket around, the thing kept slipping off my hand. Like, so there's this little magnetic battery cover. I'll show you, actually. So the way this works is... Hey, what's up, Joystick? So the way this works is there's this little battery cover that slides off. And you can see it just kind of like... It's a little bit magnetic. It kind of attaches by itself. But if your hands are gripping it too tight, or you kind of slide your thumb down, it can come off while you're playing. And that is a little annoying. It's obviously easy to slip it back on, but it'll throw you off if you're playing Beat Saber or something, I would imagine. Alright, so where was I? Oh, Darth Vader, like I said, super high production values. It feels like a Lucasfilm's, like, Industrial Light and Magic, like, production. It's really good. And I think if you do pick this thing up, that's a must-have exclusive. Although it is coming to, like, Rift later, but for now it's just Quest only. And that's a really good one. Also, VR chat is really fun. If you haven't been able to play it on PSVR, obviously, like we haven't been able to. Everybody knows about VR chat. It's like the weirdest place in the world. You're a big stick of butter talking to Kermit the Frog, and, you know, you guys talk about your life, and it's very odd. It doesn't run very well on the Quest. There's lots of bugs, but it is an interesting experience that you can't get on PSVR right now, so it's pretty cool. And there's not as many kids as Rec Room, so it's pretty cool. Alright, so I got a few questions here. Did I play the lightsaber duels? I did not, actually. I just played the story, so I need to go back and try those. The 360 is really cool, and some games make awesome use of that. Like, when I was playing Dead and Buried, I kept forgetting that instead of turning the stick, I could actually just, like, spin my body around, and keep playing like that, and it was so freeing. I will say that there's a lot of weight on your face, and it does leave a lot more red marks, and it just kind of hurts after a while. And I will say I have more eye fatigue, and not headaches, but like, it's a little tiring. I think that's because the frame rate is lower. It's locked to like 72 hertz refresh rate, and the PlayStation VR is like 120. So that's a pretty decent margin of difference. And while things look really crisp because the resolution is awesome, sometimes you can kind of tell like there's more eye strain. So you can't use it for like a long time compared to the PSVR. Okay, I got a few more questions. Hold on. Would it work well being used outside? I've heard that if you're in a shady area, it's okay. If you're in like full sunlight, it doesn't like that very much. This is what I've heard. There's a big field next to my house, and I want to try it out there, but dogs poop there all the time. And there's a guardian system, but it can't protect you from dog shit. So I'm kind of like, I don't know about that one. Like I said, I played in my old backyard. I snuck in there. But it's really good when you set up a big area. Like if you have like a gymnasium or like a big, like even like a parking lot or something that's empty, it's really cool. Although there's the thing about being in public and just like playing a VR headset in the middle of public. It's very odd. So what are the other questions? Would it work well being used outside? It does if you don't mind looking crazy. I have not played Robo Recall. That's the one I'm about to buy. I think I might buy Robo Recall tonight. Pocket Monkey, what's up? Is it visually better than PSVR, says Ben Living on Wheels. And I don't think it is visually better, unless it depends on the game. So, like Moss, I've heard is way, way dumbed down for PSVR. And from playing Beat Saber, it seemed like less visually appealing. It's very simplified. Earth Warrior, I just approved your comment. It was tagged for review, but they do need to install a shit detector. God, what was I saying? Okay, but so visually better. It's kind of a toss-up because the screen has a much higher resolution, so if you're watching like a movie or something, you can really see the increase in resolution versus a PSVR. Like if you have a 3D movie that you want to watch, Quest is a better media device, just as honestly the Oculus Go is a better media device than the PSVR. And they're more open platforms, even though, you know, Oculus isn't the most open, but you can like sideload apps and stuff, so it's kind of cool. So Gary and Sandra Williams, it is a standalone item. You don't need a computer to run it. I will show it to you here. So it's got a USB-C connector. You can see right here, that's how you charge it. And then it's got a power button on the side. One thing that's really cool is this has a physical IPD adjustment. This little knob here on the right that you see is actually, so like that makes it clearer based on, you know, your eye spacing, but there's no menu to go into. You literally just put it on, which I will do right now to show you. You just put it on and you slide this little knob back and forth. Oh, other side, this one. And basically it adjusts the IPD. So on PlayStation, you got to go into a whole menu and all this stuff, and it's software adjustment instead of hardware adjustment. That's pretty cool. Let's see, a few other questions here. The price is $399 in the US for a 64 gig and $499 for 128. I don't think you need 128, I'm pretty sure. What's up, Ragos Pantaleon? Bo Foley, I did try out big screen on the Quest, but I had some issues because I was trying to run stuff on my browser, like from a desktop window. So if you guys don't know, big screen is a thing where you can hang out with your friends and like watch movies or TV shows or like play games together and stuff like that on a big screen in different environments. And it's pretty cool, but every time I brought up Amazon Prime Video or Netflix or something, it was giving me a hard time. Like it would go black if I full screened it, or on Netflix it would insert like a skipped frame every now and then just to mess with me, because I think they know that you're restreaming it somewhere else, and that's sort of like against content rights. You know, it's like sort of illegal, I guess. But it's way more than you can do on a PSVR, so it's pretty cool. Ragos Pantaleon says, how do you like it compared to PSVR? I like it as a side product, because if I want to play a big game like No Man's Sky, of course I can't ever do that on Quest. But if I want to play a game like Superhot, which they've redesigned for like a 360 environment, and it's really low polygon, so it'll pop in the headset, you know? As opposed to games that require a lot of processing power and stuff like that. So for simple games that utilize the like the room scale and the being able to duck down all the way to the ground without cameras and all that stuff, and just like a big play area, I think it's a really good system to have. It won't replace my PSVR, obviously, but it's a nice other thing to have. And occasionally Oculus Occasionally Oculus does have exclusives like Vader or Robo Recall or some of these other ones, and they're pretty good. Great Tantrum says the PSVR's resolution is not as bad as one thinks. And you're right. You know, honestly, it's not that bad. But I will say that just like specs-wise, the Quest does have a better screen, better, like, I don't know about better lenses. We should get into that. If you guys are used to PSVR and you pick up a Quest, you'll notice this thing that PC VR players have always had, which is called God rays. And God rays are pretty intense no matter which Oculus you have. So even on the Quest, which is a fancy new gadget, God rays are like when you look at a bright thing, you get those sort of like, you know, the sunlight coming through the clouds where it sort of like spreads out. They call it God rays. And it happens all the time on the Oculus Quest. But you'd sort of just get used to it. It's part of the lenses they use. And PSVR has them beat on that by a mile. So, you know, even though the resolution on the screen is higher, it can't push the graphics the same way, and there are a few like trade-offs there. All right, one sec. I'm thirsty. You guys are great. Thank you for tuning in, by the way. Have I done Hulu on PSVR? Yes, I have briefly. It didn't blow me away. I feel like Kevgret says God rays. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Let me scroll back through and see if I missed any questions here. Because I think I probably did. Maybe I didn't get any questions I haven't answered. Have I answered everything? Oh, okay. So AJ asked about thoughts on Moss, which I haven't actually played yet. So that's unfortunate. But I will tell you guys every game that I played so far on Oculus Quest, and you guys can ask me if you have any questions, or I'll just tell you what I thought about it. So I've played VR Chat, I've played Big Screen, I've played Vader Immortal, we've got Dead and Buried 2, which is the one that I said was like Quake or like Unreal Tournament multiplayer, and then there's another one called Drop Dead Dual Strike, which is a zombie game, and that one's actually really fun. You can play co-op like Horde mode, and there's also a campaign that's sort of like a House of the Dead, like it's on rails. And everybody always wants like a House of the Dead or a Time Crisis or something. And that one's pretty fun, and it's only like $15, so I really enjoyed that. What else have I played? What else have I played? I don't know, I was going to check something, but I can't. There's nothing to check. I'd have to put the headset on. I will put the headset on. Hold on. What do I look like in this thing? Sorry if this stream's going a little bit off the rails, guys. It's a late night stream. Alright, what? Okay. Oh, this reminds me one thing that I need to talk about. Do I have this right? No, this is all wrong. These are backwards. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm confirming my Guardian area. Oh boy. I'm just checking to see which games I have. I totally forgot which games I've played. I apologize. Let me see. So this is me using a Quest. Hello, hello. Oh, Dance Central. I need to talk about Dance Central. That one's really fun. So I have played Big Screen, Dead and Buried 2, Drop Dead Dual Strike Edition, VR Chat, Vader Immortal, Sports Scramble Demo, Beat Saber Demo, Journey of the Gods Demo, and Dance Central. Dance Central is really fun, and the cool thing about Dance Central is it's made by Harmonix, who's made Rock Band and a bunch of other music games over the years. They're a great company. And I was actually kind of amazed they got back to me and sent me a code for this. So shout out to Harmonix for giving me a review code for Dance Central. But it's a really fun little game where, you know, you can tell how good the tracking is and how much freedom you have because you're just doing these dance moves. And it tracks you really well, and it's just a lot of fun. They have a lot of songs you've heard before, like throwback, like R&B, like 90s, like rap songs and stuff. It's really cool. I think Dance Central is probably worth getting, and it's kind of a workout. Like, I got sweaty. I definitely got sweaty. I actually bought myself a headband for Box VR, and I can't find it, which sucked because I was very, very sweaty during Dance Central. But let's see. So PSVR 777, I did try Big Screen. I haven't tried the poker game, but like I said before, Big Screen wasn't. I couldn't really figure out how to get it to work the right way. But the one thing I haven't talked about yet that I want to talk about that I just realized when I put the headset on is building suspense there, sorry. Okay, so the Guardian system is very interesting because in the headset, if you move outside of the area you've defined, there's two options. First of all, you can have a stationary spot where it's just a circle, and if you move near the edge, it'll show you. And then you can also point at the ground and define like a whole area, as big as you want, as much space as you have, pretty much. Up to like 30 feet by 30 feet, I think. It's pretty huge. I have a small studio apartment, so it doesn't work that well inside my place, but in like yards or fields or whatever, it should be good. So, if you move outside of it, it starts showing you through a camera in the headset the world around you. In black and white, and you kind of feel like a giant. It's very odd looking. I wish I could show you what it looks like. But it's so helpful. Like if you need to find something, or if somebody walked into your room, or you just need to know what's going on, even if you want to like run over and grab something, just moving outside of that area and being in real life is very cool. Like with the PlayStation VR, there is no seeing the world around you. And you think that's a minor thing, but then once you start using the ability to switch from VR to real life without taking the headset off, it's really convenient. It's very nice. Hopefully the PSVR 2 will have like a pass-through feature like that, because it's really, really helpful. Okay, so the controllers are lighter than the moves. They're actually kind of tiny too. I don't know if you can tell, but they feel a little small in your hand, and it's hard for me still to figure out the right way to grip it. Especially with a game like Beat Saber, like the PSVR is made for Beat Saber because they feel like the handle of a lightsaber, the move controllers. These things do not in any way feel like the handle of a lightsaber. So there's certain games, especially ones that require a lot of movement and stuff, where it's just hard to figure out how to get a handle on them. They feel kind of small, almost like a GameCube controller or like a Wii controller or something, like it's made for a kid or something. But it's not, I don't know. I do really like the controllers at the end of the day, though, because the ability to sense when you're resting your fingers on stuff, and just like the amount of interaction you can have on a physical level, just like giving people a thumbs up or like fist bumping, it's so much more natural with this controller. So it's really cool. With the news today that PSVR 2 is quite some time away, do you think PSVR people will pick this up as a stopgap? I think you could, honestly, because the PSVR is going to keep serving up really good, like, long-form experiences like No Man's Sky and, even Blood and Truth, that you will never get on the Quest. And if we're going to get down to it, Sony always has better exclusives than anybody. So, it's going to be hard to beat them. Like, getting Darth Vader is pretty cool, but it's not, it's not Astrobot. Like, it's not that good of an exclusive. It's a cool experience, but it's not one of the best games I've ever played in VR. It's just cool to be standing next to Darth Vader and use a lightsaber and stuff. It's more like fanboying than like an awesome, incredible experience. But it's well done and it's well made. But the exclusives are not as good. I do think that the ability to bring it over to your friends' houses and just like show people VR or like take it to your work or just like, I don't know, it's so mobile and so easy that I think it's a good entry point. It's the best entry point we've ever had. And that is a good reason to pick it up because, like, if you like VR a lot and you want to get other people into it, like I do, anybody who's interested, you can just bring this little tiny, like, this thing, I can just throw it in my backpack. And I'm over at your house, and I don't have to bring a breakout box and a PS4 Pro and a big headset and stuff. It's just, like, that's the whole thing. And they can play Beat Saber, and they can play Super Hot. So it's a great, like, VR evangelist system. If you want to go around telling people, like, look how cool VR is, it's a great one to have, especially if you got a big play area. You can really make the most of it. So we got a few people in here. Howdy Davey, says Anthony Durant. Howdy, Anthony. If we have both PSVR and the Quest, which would you recommend getting Beat Saber on, says Bo Foley. I would say probably I still prefer it on PSVR, just because the visual experience is better. And there's something about the move controllers where holding them feels more like lightsabers, just to be honest. I'm James McLaughlin. I see you. I'll come back to you in a second. But I would probably buy it on the PSVR. The only thing is if you want to show it to other people, then you get it on the Quest, because then you can just bring it anywhere. John Froton, I am going to try Box VR on the Quest. I'm actually really looking forward to that. Anthony Durant says you can use VR chat, and I talked about that earlier, but that was one of the most weird, fun experiences. Even though it was kind of broken, the frame rate sucked, it was a little nauseating, like, it was still pretty fun and weird, and what I expected VR chat to be, essentially. So I liked it. Let's see. There are other grips people use for playing Beat Saber. Oh yeah, no, there's alternate grips. You can like hold it like a C shape or something like a claw and go like this. I'm not really gonna, we'll see. Jameson McLaughlin though says, sorry, the Quest isn't just an entry point, it's the whole package, it's next level. And in some ways, I do kind of agree with you, because like, if somebody had never played a PSVR or never played an Oculus Rift and you showed this to them, and they bought it, they'd be like, wow, this is incredible. This is blowing my mind. There's so many cool experiences. The thing for me is, like, I've already experienced a lot of the things on PSVR, and I know the graphics are better in that scenario. And just, like, the processing power available to the PSVR is much higher, especially on a Pro. But there's something kind of magical about the Quest. that I think it really could be for some people the whole package. Like, if you don't have a PS4 and you don't have a fancy PC and you have $400, like, I would definitely tell anybody to buy a Quest in the world. I would say, this is incredible, just go buy this thing. The only problem is once you buy it, you want to buy every single game. Like, you want to buy Beat Saber, you want to buy Dance Central, you want to buy Dead and Buried, you want to buy Drop Dead, you want to buy Vader. There's like so many. Robo Recall. I think I'm going to buy Robo Recall later tonight. Anyways, I'm rambling. David Segerson, you say that about Quest is not next level with how limited the experiences have to be due to processing power. But VR, I've always said, like, part of the thing that people complained about on PSVR was that the graphics are like PS2 graphics, PS3 graphics. It looks like shit, bro. Like, Call of Duty looks way better than that. And that's why people, shit on PSVR. But what people don't realize is that the immersion, the embodiment of the space, the experience is what makes VR cool, not the graphical quality. So the fact that the Quest, like, takes away any barriers, like, you can play in a huge area and just walk around like a real person. You don't have to use the analog sticks. But we do have analog sticks on the Quest, which is pretty fucking awesome. I love those controllers. I'm still a PSVR guy through and through, but those controllers are incredible. But what I'm saying is that the experiences are good enough to get you feeling immersed. And now it takes away the wire and the requirement to stay within, like, a certain camera angle. You can go anywhere. If you got a big area, you can just, like, walk through an entire game and then, like, turn right and keep walking and get your get your exercise in, or whatever you want to do. But it's kind of like magical, like I said before. It's pretty cool. So there are good and bad things. Obviously, the versus, everybody wants to know, like, PSVR versus Quest. I would say if you've already got a PSVR and you're not interested, or you don't really care about the freedom of the wireless thing, or, like, just having, like, 2 or 3 exclusives, then you're probably fine just playing your PSVR, and it's going to work with PSVR, PS5, all that stuff. So it's not a bad thing to have. And Quest isn't better than PSVR, I'll say that. Like, I didn't come here to say, sell your PSVR, buy a Quest. It's a nice side thing to have. It's a different experience. In some ways, it's a lowered experience, but in some ways, it's a heightened experience. So it's kind of a bunch of trade-offs that you got to decide if it's something you'd like or not. I think it's really cool, but I love buying gadgets, so that's just me. Let me see what we say here. What do we say? It's a good starting point for people with wireless. Yeah, so Anthony says, it's like if you already have a PSVR, why get this? Really, I would say the 2 reasons are to open up the scale of where you can play. Opening up, like, you can play in a football field. Like, just run around and do barrel rolls and all kinds of shit, if you feel like it. And then also just bringing it over to people's houses, showing it off, sharing VR with people. In that way, it's way easier than a PSVR. So those are the selling points. But yeah, really, like, Kevgret says, once you play Super Hot with no wires on your back, you'll see. And to be entirely honest, I still haven't played Super Hot yet. I can't wait to play it, but I'm not trying to drain my entire wallet by buying every single game on the day that I buy the Quest. So, and David Segerson says it will get more people to try VR, and that's right. And I think once people try the Quest, they might be interested after getting the idea in their heads that VR is cool, because it's so acceptably easy to use. It's almost like perfectly mainstream. You just put it on your head like a cap, and you're ready to go. Your friend can just hand it to you, and you play some games. And a lot of them are the most popular VR games, like Beat Saber and Super Hot and stuff, that will sell people on VR. So I just feel like there is definitely a reason for it to exist. And it'll probably get more people into PSVR just because they tried that and they're like, oh wait, there's a version of this VR stuff that I actually like now because I tried a Quest that has, like, No Man's Sky or, like, Skyrim or, like, Resident Evil 7. Wow, let me get that. it's like an entry point where then you kind of keep going and get to the bigger experiences. And I think PSVR and Quest are good, like, companions to each other. That's all I'll say. Nick says, have you tried casting to a TV yet? I have not, actually. You have to have a Chromecast, which I'm going to buy soon because to stream the stuff or to record the stuff, which I'm going to do. This is still a PSVR channel, but I am going to stream and cover some Quest stuff. Just because I am excited about it. I think it's a fun system. So don't unsubscribe unless you want to. You can. It's fine. But anyways, let's see. I think it'd be weird to bring it to people's houses without a social screen. It would be. So I think you'd bring the Chromecast with you, which is just like a little wireless, like, adapter thing. It's tiny. Just plug it in. So I think that's the way you got to do it. It's neat, just not what I'm looking for. I want the bigger games, and that's totally fair. There's still so many I need to play, beat, or even touch PSVR game-wise. That's correct. There are so many great games on PSVR, and like the launch library for Quest is nothing like PSVR's library. It's nowhere near it. I mean, PSVR has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. Oh, look, PSVR without parole. Good companions to each other, like Dave Station, and you should have said Brian. I know who you are. Kevgret says, I have 3 version 1 Chromecasts. I think it only works with the newer versions, and that's correct. It's got to be Chromecast V3 or Chromecast Ultra. Some TVs that have Chromecast built in will not work. Also, thank you for showing up, Brian. I love you. You're a great guy. The PSVR will obviously be better for the bigger games because the processing power, that's correct. So the Quest is not the same machine. It's not going for the same thing that the PSVR is. Even though the PSVR is still a casual VR experience because everybody has a PS4, it's cheap, it's easy to put on, it's comfortable, all that stuff. The Quest is kind of the same thing except for it's just totally free. You can experience VR by actually walking in real life through an area. Like, if I'm in the field next to my house, I can play this Journey of the Gods game, which is like a Zelda kind of game, by actually standing and walking through the world, and it just works. It's perfect, which is kind of incredible in a way. And once again, the controllers have been blowing my mind. I love the controllers. They are a little small. The battery pack slips off, but otherwise, like, they're fucking beautiful. $400 is a lot of money. That's correct. Like I said, you don't have to buy this thing, but if you do buy it, it will be a good thing for selling other people on VR, and also gives you some experiences you can't get on PSVR, like being able to walk around a field and play. You know, you'll look like a moron, of course, but I don't know. It's a pretty incredible piece of gadgetry, I will say. I'm a big fan. So if you got the money laying around and you're interested in the kind of things that it can do, it's a way forward for the future of VR. It's not the way forward. Obviously, PS5 and PSVR are going to be awesome together. But it is a way forward for VR that I think we all agree that VR is awesome. So really just like getting everybody else involved, even if they don't have a PlayStation already, or even if they don't want to hook up a bunch of wires and stuff, like, as much as we can spread the idea that VR is, like, okay and cool, and it's not something you have to shit on or be scared of or, you know, feel like it's not there yet. Everybody says, oh, I'll get it in, like, 3 generations because it's not good yet. The Quest is already good. Most of the games look good enough, and they run good enough. There's a few frame rate issues, there's a few glitches, but it's just like, it's a good system. I really am behind the Quest. So obviously, as I've said before, I'm not switching over to a Quest channel by any means, because I feel like the games that are out now, I don't know if really, besides like 1 or 2 other games coming, anything that's major in the future coming out for it. I feel like they got their launch library, and then we might see a trickle of games, but it's not going to get the big new games. So it is, at the moment, kind of stocked up with cool stuff to play, but in the long run, I think PSVR will have a much faster rate of releasing, like, really, really awesome, really playable games. So it's just a companion piece, I think. But if you got the money and you love VR, it's a different experience. In some ways worse, in some ways better, but it is definitely worth checking out. And that's what I'll say. Can you look at objects closer on the Quest? So Robert McAllister said, I heard the Go wasn't true VR. And so in that way, the Go is 3 degrees of freedom, which means you can turn left, right, up, and down. But you can't move forward, and you can't lean back, and you can't look at stuff up close. And so the Quest is 6 degrees of freedom. It's got built-in tracking cameras. You can move through the world. You can just walk through a field and move around in the game, and it works. It just fucking works. The Quest is for VR what the Switch is for home consoles, and that's actually a pretty good comparison because it's underpowered, but you can bring it in anywhere, and there's so many cool things to play on it that it'll sell people on the concept of having one. They'll be like, oh, this is easy. I just plop it on my head. I can play Super Hot. I can play Beat Saber. I can do this. I can do that. And it's such a good little gizmo. Okay, so Bo Foley says you can set the Guardian system to be 25 by 25 foot. That is correct. You can make it huge, very huge. Cell phone versus landline, Chris Bayer says. Good enough for the freedom you get. Yeah, that's probably a good comparison, because I'm sure the first cell phone sounded like shit, and the landline still sounded pretty solid. And it was huge, and you had to carry it around and stuff. So that's a good comparison. I'll take that one. So, you guys have any more questions? I'd like to take some questions instead of just rambling over here. And if you're wondering, this is vodka in here. That's not just straight vodka. There's club soda, but there's a reason I'm rambling this way. That's all I'll say. Yeah, so Brian says the Quest must have sold really well. Checked Amazon and Walmart last night, sold out. That is true. Amazon is going to take 1 to 2 months, I think, to deliver any Quests. As I said earlier, half the reason I bought one is because Best Buy had 2 left, and Amazon was saying it was going to take forever for them to arrive. So I was like, well, damn, if I got to pull the trigger, it's going to be right now. So if you haven't already bought one, the unfortunate thing is you might have to wait a little while. But there may be some more games to pick up at that point, and there may be sales around Black Friday and stuff. So, could be worth waiting for. I'm not sure. 3 more days till 5 Nights and Blood and Truth. That's correct. So, that is going to be great. Once again, I love PSVR. I'm going to spend a lot of time in Blood and Truth. 5 Nights at Freddy's I'm not as excited about. But I will hop in and check that out as well. So John Froton says, I don't usually get motion sick, but certain games make me feel queasy. Is the Quest going to be like that? One thing I will say is certain games are not optimized to run very well on Quest, like VR Chat. VR Chat is the most nauseating thing I've played on Quest so far. I have very strong VR legs. I've played every single game on PSVR. I've spent a lot of hours in there, and I don't get sick. But the frame rate is lower, and there's a lot choppier segments in certain games. And you just got to be careful what you play. Like, Beat Saber won't make you sick. Dance Central won't make you sick. Any of the major games won't make you sick. But VR Chat is just like Wild West. It's super unoptimized. And just be careful, because there is stuff on the Quest that could get you sick. Nerfenstein says, hey, I'm so happy to have a Quest. So am I. Having a great time with it. James McLaughlin says, how much time did you spend with it? I've probably spent 7 hours behind it now. Since I got it, maybe 8 or 9, I'm not entirely sure. But to the point where I feel like I've done it almost too much. Almost too much. My brain feels a little odd sometimes. And like I said, there's more eye fatigue because, the frame rate's not as good, and it's really pressing against your face, which just sort of tires you out after a while. Can you force the pass-through even with your... Okay, if you're in the Guardian boundary, can you force pass-through? You can't force it, but what you can do is you can hit the Oculus button and then go to the room scale setting, and it'll show you the Guardian boundary. So it's 2 clicks away, essentially. But just leaning your head outside of it will activate it as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so I don't see any more questions at the moment. I'm not sure how long I should go on about this thing, but overall, I'm quite satisfied with it, and I'm really looking forward to trying out more stuff. I'm probably going to get Robo Recall tonight, and this isn't going to be like my final word on the thing. I'm going to do a video review where it's like, okay, here's the quest, here's the cool stuff, here's the bad stuff, whatever. Like, I just felt like doing a live stream. I haven't been in front of people on webcam in a while, and just like sat here and talked to you guys, so that's always fun, and I wanted to do that. But let's see, Nerfenstein says, I love mine, my son-in-law is buying one of my friends is buying one, even the sales guy in Kmart had one. Yeah, so when I went to Best Buy to pick mine up, it was one of the last two they had available, and the guy was saying they were flying off the shelves the past days before. I waited a little long, but at this point, I think they've pretty much sold out most places. So it's going to be a minute before they're out and about, but I think a lot of cool technology is like that. Like, Switch was really hard to find for a long time. I was so excited when I got the chance to buy a Switch because they were so hard to come across. And this will probably be like that, or like Move controllers, which are hard to find in like the EU and stuff. But anyways, Vodka Side Chat. Yeah, it's Vodka Side Chat. Good job, Dave. Thanks for your time. I feel like Kevgard is telling me this stream is over. You guys agree with that? Have we talked about enough? I'm fine to wrap it up. I need to check out Robo Recall. I'll take any last minute questions and then we can wrap it up. But, overall, I think if you got the money and if you got the interest, you won't be disappointed with the Quest. You won't end up returning it or being like, this is terrible. It's a really good system. It does some unique things that if you're used to PSVR and you haven't played anything else, it, in some ways, once again, I'll say, is magical. The ability to just, like, walk around a room or an area, a field, anywhere, and be in space in virtual reality makes it feel more like a virtual reality, like a holodeck or something. And once again, the controllers are just crazy good. The ability to sense you resting your finger on a button, and just, they have analog sticks. They got analog sticks. And we've been begging for analog sticks forever, so you can't hate on a console that has fucking analog sticks. So T-Wum says PSVR or Quest. I would say it depends on what you want it for, but PSVR is a more solid system overall. It's got longer games, better exclusives, but there are some shortfalls that the Quest kind of fills in the blanks for. So I would say PSVR and Quest, if you got money for it. But if you only have one or the other and you've already got a PS4, get a PSVR. Bo Foley says, will you do Quest videos or just strictly PSVR? I'm going to do a few Quest videos. I think I'll just get it out of my system. And then, if a new game comes out that I think is great, I'll cover that. But I pretty much just want to be here at the launch to say, like, these are my thoughts. I'll do a full review of it and cover some games and maybe stream a couple as well. But it's still a PSVR channel. Don't worry about that. We're all good on that. I still have food stuck to me from being at work. All right. Later, Brian. Thanks for tuning in, man. Have a nice snack. Good night, Brian. Check out Shadowpoint. Okay, so Shadowpoint I've heard is pretty good, but it's not on my list yet because I don't want to spend all my money in the world. I've spent quite a lot of money. This thing was expensive, and the games, while they're not $60, there's a lot of $30 games that I can't buy all of them. But anyways, guys, I think I am going to wrap it up. Overall, I will say the Oculus Quest is a very cool gadget. If you're the kind of person who, when a new VR gadget comes out, you just can't help yourself and you just want to try it out, you're not going to be disappointed. If you're the kind of person who wants to show it to other people and spread, like, the word of VR, or if you're a person who's never even tried VR before, these are all really good reasons to have it. Also, if you love PSVR, but you've always wanted controllers with analog sticks and, the ability to just, like, move around freely in space, it's not going to live up to the depth of gaming or, like, the graphical horsepower, but it's really good anyways. So I think there's no reason to be like all console war about this. It's not like Xbox versus PlayStation or something like that. Like, it's a good thing to have. If you like VR, you're gonna like this. So I would say check it out if you have the opportunity. And that's gonna wrap it up. Thanks, guys. Thanks for tuning in. It was good to like sit here and talk to you for a while. Hopefully it went okay. Anyways, it's late. It's Saturday night. Go out there and enjoy yourselves. Go to a dance club or something. You know, something like that. T-Wum says, "Do I ever get angry?" That's a weird question to end on. I think everybody gets angry sometimes. All right, I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.